Hello everyone, this is Michelle with Serenity App Solutions. In today's lecture, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about app ratings. I'm going to also take some time and really teach you how you can obtain great and real reviews. So first of all, when does an app user typically leave a review? Well, if you've been in the business for even a short amount of time, you'll realize really fast that it's almost always when they're upset about something, or when they're completely and totally excited about your app. Unfortunately, the second one isn't as popular as the first, simply because it takes a little bit of time and effort to leave a review. So the conclusion is, the process is a little bit unfair, and it's also a little bit skewed towards the negative. So unless you're taking a proactive approach to ratings, even the best apps can have a hard time maintaining high ratings. So why should you care so much? Well, app reviews and ratings can ultimately make or break your app. One of the reasons why is that ratings play a key role in the App Store search algorithm. We're going to talk in more detail about this later in our ASO series, so hang tight on this one. Second of all, 95% of users read the reviews before buying an app. And most users will skip over apps that have 1 to 2.5 star ratings, and many users only download apps with 3.5 stars or higher. So go ahead and take a look at these top chart apps. If you look closely, you're going to quickly realize that not only do they almost all have great reviews, but they have a lot of them. What this means is that you need to be maintaining a 3.5 star or higher rating to be truly competitive. Unless you're MVC, then you might be able to get away with a 1.5 star rating. There are, of course, always exceptions. What's another reason why reviews matter? Well, it's a really fast way that developers can be alerted to any bugs or problems with their app. It's also another way that your users can provide feedback. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the proactive approach. First and foremost, build a great app. I think we all know this by now. The competition is too fierce in the App Store these days. Your app needs to be smooth and it needs to be polished. Second, utilize an app rater component. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into detail about what exactly this is. It's usually built directly into your app, and it ultimately makes it easy for your users to go in and rate your app. Therefore, your satisfied users take the time to do so. It's one of the most effective ways to bring in real and positive reviews. And it allows your unsatisfied and unhappy users to receive the help they need. Lastly, you're going to notice that almost all of the top apps in the store have some type of app rating component built into them. This is an example from Plants vs. Zombies. Once you reach a certain level, this will pop up all the time. So let's talk about how it works. Now, I've basically built a flowchart here for you that goes through the app rater component that we utilize, but just know that there's a lot of different versions out there, and there's also a lot of free code that you can find as well for the different components. So here's how it works. Your app rater component launches. Now, it only does so after a certain amount of engagement. And the reason for this is that engagement typically signifies a satisfied user. If the user is opening your app and using your app, they must be happy with the app to some degree. So an example of how you can go about this is you can set the component that it will only open after the user's opened the app 5 times, or it'll only open after the user's reached a certain level in the game, or reached a hook, so to speak. So let's say the user rates the app 4 to 5 stars. The user is then taken to the App Store to complete the review process. And you've got another great review for your app from a satisfied user. Let's say the user rates the app 1 to 3 stars. Well, then another notification is going to pop up asking if the user would like to provide feedback. And here's a closer view of that as well. Let's say they say no. It simply returns the user to the app, and then after a period of time and more engagement, it's going to relaunch again. If the user says yes, That's when the feedback form launches, and this form is going to be sent directly to your customer support. Let's talk a little bit about the feedback form. First of all, it provides a win-win solution for the user and the developer, and here's a couple of the reasons why. It's going to allow your users not only to be heard, but to actually get the help they're seeking. And formerly unsatisfied users will often change their review once they've worked with your customer support team to resolve their concerns. It actively brings in positive reviews and filters negative reviews off the App Store. This rating process makes for an overall happier user base. So after they've submitted the feedback form, try to have your customer support team respond within 48 hours to feedback. Then, after the user's concerns are resolved, ask the user if they'll consider taking time to rate the app in the store. And you've got another great review for your app from a satisfied user. So that's the App Rater component. Let's go ahead and talk about a few other methods for fielding in reviews. These are not as effective, unfortunately, but let's go ahead and go through them. So first of all, use a call to action in your app description, your email, signature, social media pages, anywhere that you have a presence that invites your users to review and to rate your app. I would go ahead and do this along with the App Rater component. Again, it's not as effective, but you will see some return from it. The second method, ask family and friends to rate the app. I would be really careful with this method, and one of the reasons why is that family and friends tend to go and rate your app with a really glowing review, and it's really obvious when you've been asking family and friends to go and rate the app. So just be careful doing it. I would only ever advise you to do this when you first have launched the app or when you've just released a major update. And I would only do maybe 5 to 10 reviews from family and friends. Beyond that, your users will use your App Rater component, and then that will take care of it. But the reason you might want to use family and friends when you first start off is that positive yields positive. So when users go in and read positive reviews right away, they tend to leave positive reviews as well, even if they're upset about something. And then negative, on the flip side, yields negative. So if they see a lot of 1 to 2 star ratings, they're much more likely to leave 1 to 2 stars, than they would to be leaving 3 to 4 to 5. So again, asking family and friends to rate the app, it's not really the best method, and it's just not sustainable. So only use it when you absolutely have to. Buying reviews. Don't ever do this. That's all I'm going to say about that topic. All right, let's switch gears. Let's say that you release an app and unfortunately you've filled it in a lot of bad ratings. Well, let's talk about how you can make a comeback. First, what are the top 3 reasons for negative reviews? 1, if it's a bad app. And if it's a bad app, then you just need to go and start over and resubmit your app. 2, you'll often see a flood of negative reviews right after a major update. One of the reasons for this is that users are often resistant to change. The best way to handle this situation is to keep your customer support on top of things, and then go ahead and talk to your users and make sure you explain to them all of the benefits and all of the new features that the update has. Once they realize that, they tend to usually be satisfied and they'll go right back to using your app. The third reason is bugs. So we'll talk about this in a little more detail. First of all, don't panic. Just fix the issue quickly as possible and then release a new update. It's really not the end of the world, and I can tell you right now that every top app out there has gone through some process where they've had a major bug and they've gotten a lot of negative reviews and they've released an update and they've come back from it. So you can too. So don't give up on that. Lastly, go back and ask those who contacted you through customer support to write a new review now that the problem has been fixed. Do this if you fix the problem quickly. Users really appreciate that, and they'll more often than not respond in a positive way. All right, here's my final tip for you. Have thick skin. It can be really difficult after you've poured your heart and soul into building your app, only to have a careless user or users just go and tear it apart. Just remember not to react and don't take it personal. So you've worked hard, and often users don't understand everything that goes into building an app. So stay positive. And finally, just remember, if your app is well designed and you made it easy for your satisfied users to demonstrate that, your reviews are going to show it. So that's it for this lecture, and we'll catch you in another one.